Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Easy Learn. And today's topic is the cosine rule, within which we're going to be doing some practice today. If you haven't watched my cosine rule explanation video yet, pause right here, check the link in the description below, go understand the concept first, and then come back for solving. So today's question is, this is a triangle FEG, and as you can see, FE is 25 millimeters, EG is 7 millimeters, and up there is a little circle or an O that is referred to as theta or the angle. And the question says, find the size of angle theta for triangle EFG. Write your answer to two decimal places. Now, we're supposed to be finding this theta or the angle, but for that, we need to notice something, and that is that if you want to find the theta, you will probably need another angle or some length in order to be able to use some rule, either sine rule, cosine rule, or whatever. So in this one, if you notice carefully, there is this FE length which has a dash here, and the same dash appears on the FG. This dash basically refers that if one side is some specific length, the other side also has to be that length. This means that it is an isosceles triangle. In an isosceles triangle, two lengths are represented with these dashes which are the same. If this one's x, this one's also x. If you have a triangle that has three dashes like that, this would mean that it's an equilateral triangle. By equilateral, it means that all of the sides are equal. So if this is y, this would also be y, and this would also be y. So in this particular question, FEG, if the length FE is 25 millimeters, there is a dash on FG, which means that FE and FG are the same. So the FG is also 25 millimeters. Now that I have three lengths, let's say this is length number one, this is length number two, and that's length number three. So it should click to your mind that when we have three lengths and one angle, doesn't matter if the angle is missing or it's known or unknown. The point is that if you are dealing with three lengths and one angle in a particular question, you're supposed to be using the cosine rule. And in order to figure out what formula am I going to be using, it really depends on what you're trying to find. If you're trying to find the length in the specific triangle, then you use slightly different formula, and if you're finding the angle, it's different. Not the formula exactly is different, but only the arrangement of the formula is different in both cases. So for this one, since you're using the angle because you want to find the angle, so for that we're going to be using cos c equals a squared plus b squared minus c squared divided by 2ab, 2 times a times b. Now, the most important thing is that which length or which value am I going to be taking for my capital C and for my small c. This is the most important part because A and B, it's okay, whichever you're taking as A or B, you can reverse it whichever order you want, whichever numbers you like to put for A, B, it's fine. But C's are mainly more important, and you have to figure out exactly which one's your C. So, whichever angle you take, now it doesn't matter if your angle is known or unknown, the angle is always going to be your capital C, which comes in place of this capital C. You replace the C with that angle, or if it's unknown, so I'm just going to be replacing it with theta, doesn't matter. But your C, your capital C, always has to be any angle that you're picking up in that triangle. And the small c that has to be subtracted in this formula always has to be the length that is right opposite to the angle or the capital C. So the length right opposite to the capital C is always going to be my small c, which means that if I put up this entire equation or the numbers, the values inside this formula, I would be having something like this. Cos, instead of c, now that I have my angle theta, I'm going to be putting cos theta equals a squared plus b squared. In this particular case, both of them are 25, so I'm just going to write 25 squared plus 25 squared minus c squared. And c, as I told you, always has to be the small c, is always going to be the length that is right opposite to your capital C. And your capital C is always going to be your angle, any angle that you're taking. That's going to be your capital C. So cos theta equals 25 squared plus 25 squared minus 7 squared divided by 2 times 25 times 25. Now this is how your arrangement should look like. The next step, you're going to be solving the stuff on your scientific calculator. Now, if you have one with you, it's perfectly fine. If you don't, just Google it. Google scientific calculator, and you'll get a pop-up like this, and you can just write down your solution. Now, there are different ways of solving this. You can either do just the numerator part first, and then just write down the answer somewhere, and then you do the denominator part separately, write down the answer, and then in the end, you can just divide the two numbers, the numerator and the denominator. But because I like to just put everything in one place and just solve quickly in one go, that's the reason I write down everything just on one single screen and I just do everything together. So but you can't just do it randomly. You can't just write 25 squared and all that and then divide it by. You have to remember that it is important to include your brackets. This is the bracket sign that you will see in any of your calculator. Either you use Google or your physical ones. You have to make sure that you put your numerators inside the brackets. If you have a physical calculator, there's also this upon sign, there's a box, and there's this fraction sign, and this one. So in this one, you can just simply write down your numbers just the way it's written over here. But when you don't have that, or when you're dealing with just the normal scientific calculator that I'm using, if you're doing something like that, then it's just very important that you use your brackets. So bracket open, 25 squared plus 25 squared minus 7 squared, and then bracket close. If I did not have these brackets here and here after and before the division sign, then what would happen is that 7 square would be 49, and 49 divided by 2. The calculator would automatically do 49 divided by 2 before doing anything else, because in order of operations, division comes first. Division, then multiplication, then addition, then subtraction. So the calculator picks it up that way. The calculator wouldn't know that you are not supposed to be dividing the 49 with the 2 first. You have to do the 25 squared and all that. So for that reason, it's important that you put these brackets so the calculator knows that, okay, I gotta solve this first, because before division, the order of operations says that you have to solve the brackets. So the calculator is gonna solve this bracket first, and then it's gonna divide. Anyways, too much of details, but okay. And one more thing, that when you write 25 square, if just in case you wonder how is this 2 coming on the top, then if you write 25, after you write 25 on the calculator, you see this button x to the power of y. When you click it, you get this small box up there, and the cursor automatically falls on this box, and you can just type 2 there, so you'll get a 25 square. That's how you write on this Google scientific calculator. Anyway, going back to the question. So when I write all of that stuff and you divide it, you get your answer something like this, 0.9608, which means cos C or cos theta equals 0.9608. Now, I gotta find my theta. I don't have to find my cos theta. I'm supposed to be finding my theta. In order to find my theta, I gotta make theta my subject, or theta has to be isolated. And for that, everything that's attached with the theta goes to the other side. So when cos goes to the other side, it turns into something like this, cos minus 1. This cos minus 1 is also known as cos inverse. So when I do theta equals cos inverse of 0.9608. This is how you're going to do it. And again, on your scientific calculator, something to remember is that always make sure your calculator is set on degrees when you're dealing with sine, cos, and tans, because it's just how it is. Unless and until they ask you in radians, you don't have to give your answer in radians. It has to always be degrees. So make sure your calculator is set on degrees, and after that you're going to be clicking I and V, that is the inverse. As soon as you click I and V or the inverse, you'll see there's the sine minus 1, cos minus 1, tan minus 1, and I'm going to be picking my cos minus 1. Once you write that down, you'll get something like this on that calculator, arc cos 0.9608, and that basically gives you 16.09 and so on. If you do the same thing on your physical calculator, you won't have this I and V sign, but you're just going to click shift and you press the cos, so you automatically get the cos inverse. So my answer is 16.095 and so on. It says answer in two decimal places. So for that, I gotta round up on the second decimal place. Now, second decimal place is a 9. And obviously, if I move the 9, if I round up the 9, it's gonna become a 10. So I'm gonna be getting something like this. Theta equals 16 point, you can just say 16.10, or that ultimately means 16.1 degrees. So therefore, the angle or the theta or the angle EFG is equal to 16.1. So that's pretty much how you find your values. And if you have any questions, any confusions, drop them down in the comment section below. And thank you so much for watching Easy Learn. Do not forget to like, share, and subscribe my channel. Take care of yourselves until next time.